well read. A trapdoor's waiting on both sides of this game. Confess to a crime, dance in someone's shame. They're looking for confessions, not justice, not grace. Just a clean little narrative that fits in this space. 20 years in, then 25 more, still saying, I didn't do this, don't they just ignore? Instead of respect, they punish your fight, turning truth into chains, darkness swallowing light. How you gonna take blame for a storm you didn't bring? Like blaming the man who's just caught in the swing. The system don't care about the path you tread, only about boxes and a story well read. This ain't rehabilitation, it's a game they play, trading innocent souls for compliance each day. And here's the truth bared raw like a wound, real remorse for the guilty. That's the tune they croon. But innocent hearts beating inside those cells need their stories to shift away from these hells. Change the definitions, let compassion in, because real justice starts where the truth can begin. Your innocence should never serve as your chain. We hold on to hope, knowing change is our game.
Hey, yo. They said Janet came home normal. I said, stop the cap, cause the neighbor saw the whole scene. Her behavior wasn't regular. That timeline, nothing about it clean. People don't pull in, sit 5 minutes, pull back out, park again. Stand outside like they fighting thoughts deep within, unless something heavy got under their skin. Oh, Commonwealth wanna pretend she was calm. Man, miss me with that. Michelle watched the whole routine glitch, like a mind buffering, trying to process a fact. She only brought in 2 bags, but the trunk was full. If everything normal, why she moving like she's stuck in a lull? Why leave the rest in the car? Why freeze up mid-task? Why step back out and smoke like she needed time to unmask? That ain't I just got home. There's something weighing on me, as my spirit ain't settled. That somebody or something been playing on me. She smoked the whole cigarette, not a drag, not a taste. The whole thing like she trying to calm a storm she ain't ready to face. But y'all wanna force Eddie into danger mode? Nah, the vibe ain't matching. She wasn't rushing inside, she wasn't scared of who y'all claim was attacking. She was outside at least 10 minutes, visibly upset, acting strange, moving different. And the prosecution tried to rearrange, like none of that mattered. But this opens the door to other interactions, other stressors, other people, other explanations. And that's exactly why they ignored it. Cause once you admit she was upset, you gotta admit the story ain't set. And the whole prosecution narrative start looking like a bad URL vet. All performance, no threat. I said the truth hit harder than any bar I could craft. And this timeline right here, yeah, it's the part where the Commonwealth get laughed off the map.
Cellmark, their chosen lab expert in the game. Tested the blood, telling the world the name. Eddie O'Brien, they said with conviction, but the truth came out like a hidden addiction. DNA tested, but what did it show? Excluded my man in that courtroom flow. Not a maybe, not a doubt, they sealed the fate. How you sell that story when the evidence won't wait? Stabbings and chaos, the narrative spins, but the DNA's whispering, where do we begin? You're trying to pin the blame, but you're missing the mark. Eddie's outside, lit up, nothing but dark. Can't blame the dog when it wasn't even home. This ain't a fair fight, Eddie's been alone. Janet Downing's world, blood on the slate, but the night's truth waiting can't seal Eddie's fate. How do you even tell when facts slip away? We dance round the lies like the night turns to day. Lights dim down, jury on pause in the courtroom theater. I'm just a part of the cause. You're trying to pin the blame, but you're missing the mark. Eddie's outside, lit up, nothing but dark. Can't blame the dog when it wasn't even home. This ain't a fair fight, Eddie's been alone. Oh, chaos in the streets, but the truth won't die. You can try to twist the knife, but look me in the eye. Exclusions in the lab, but you still wanna shout. Did it run through your veins? What's this all about? You're trying to pin the blame, but you're missing the mark. Eddie's outside, lit up, nothing but dark. Oh, can't blame the dog when it wasn't even home. This ain't a fair fight, Eddie's been alone. You believe in the shadow, but the light's never wrong. Eddie O'Brien's excluded, that's where you belong. How you gonna sell that story? Leave him out in the cold, in the echoes of justice. The truth's always bold.
What's going on, everybody? How we doing today, man? Just give me 2 minutes, man. If you give me a moment, share this, please. I really appreciate it. But welcome, everybody. Glad you could catch a live. You know, how you doing, Miss O'Brien? You know, but welcome, everybody. You know, we got a lot to talk about today, man. But just give me 2 minutes, man. We'll be right back.
Tonight's the night, let the music play. Feel the thrill, all the rules go away.
She walks in like a spark, eyes fixed on the prize. With a smile so sly, her wild side starts to rise. He's got a reputation, a devil may care. Every glance from him pulls her deeper in the snare.
Oh, they say the good girl should always stay true, but the He leans in close, whispers sweet and low. Promises of excitement come with every glow.
She knows she should run, but she's caught in the sound.
Every time the mic drops, truth walks in. Mikey in the booth, yeah, the story begins. From the streets of Rhode Island to the world online, we break down real cases, no script, no line. Families hurting, voices unheard. We bring the facts out raw, every single word. We dive deep into the trenches, shine a light on pain. No hiding from the truth, we're here to explain. Mic drops, truth rocks, raising up the stakes. Mikey's got the pulse of the world in breaks. Voices rising high, we're changing the game. Every line a lifeline, whispered in shame. Stories of the broken, lifting them from dark. A platform for the lost, yeah, we're hitting our mark. No more silence in the shadows, only strength in the sound. Each mic drop a declaration, truth breaking ground. Echoes of...
Hey, there we are. I'm good. What's going on, everybody, man? Welcome. Remember to hit the like button. How you doing, Robert, man? Shout out to Robert, man. We're having trouble streaming to Facebook. You know what? Whatever, man. We'll have to get that fixed. You know, the StreamYard setting that I have, it used to let me stream to like 8 places, but it seems like now they give you half of what they used to give you for double the money. I pay like 80 something bucks a month or $49 a month for StreamYard. You know, it all adds up. But what is going on, man? Welcome. You know, we start off slow, but once we get going, we get moving. But how we all doing today? You know, shout out to everybody in the chat, man. I mean, Robert, you know, prayers to him. Of course, Your Honor, welcome. Trisha O.B. and Denise Noel, you know, holding it down. But what is going on, everybody? I'm trying to find my spot over here. Well, we're getting closer and closer to that Rule 30. The end of the month is coming soon. So I think now, you know, probably start ramping up real soon. Soon we'll have some content that y'all never even seen before, you know, beyond seeing what's in the Rule 30. Margot's book will be out the 28th. I don't think it could be pre-ordered, you know, but get ready for the 28th. And I hope everybody supports. Even if you have the first edition, I hope everybody will go out and grab the second edition. Yeah, I hope everybody, and I believe that book will be out the 28th. And we'll probably be talking to Margot very soon, right here, you know, about the book, about what went into, you know, writing the second edition. But man, I think Eddie told us, listen to the evidence. You know, 3 decades in prison for a story that really doesn't match the science. You know, Eddie spent what? Over 30 years. I think coming up on this July will be 31 years in prison for a crime that the biological evidence just don't tie him to. You know, where you got unknown male DNA that was never retested a crime where the jury heard the full truth. You know, they never got to hear the full truth. Excuse me. You know, where the narrative just outweighs the actual science evidence, and you just can't understand as we watch juries now up in 2026 that like 1996 it wasn't, you know, the beginning of time. You know, they had technology in 1996. You know, the truth doesn't disappear just because you hide it in a filing cabinet. So listen to the evidence before you make a decision. And if you're in here and you're undetermined, just sitting in the back, you know, go back and listen to the evidence, man. Look at the DNA. Sit with the DNA. You know? I mean, before you repeat any of the headlines that was printed back in 95, 96, 97, you know, think about the fact that a 15-year-old was convicted in a political storm of people that were afraid, the politics, just incomplete information. And all I'm saying is listen to the evidence. You know, kind of like Jay-Z said, you know, do you listen to the evidence or you just let it pass by you? He's talking about music, but look at the documents in this case, watch the breakdown, and then you can decide for yourself. You know, you decide for yourself. Man, yeah, we ended up taking yesterday off. Sorry about that. You know, it's kind of like you ever watch someone tell a story confidently, like you really stop believing it yourself until you realize that the math is not math. The blood don't match. The dog they blamed was outside the whole damn time. I mean, that's basically the Eddie O'Brien case where nothing seems that they're telling you makes sense. I mean, people say, oh, let's go into these cases without feelings, and then you have feelings against the Commonwealth, or you have certain feelings about Eddie O'Brien. Somebody asked me a question, would you be comfortable telling, what's the girl's name, Erin, that Eddie didn't kill her mother? I said, absolutely. The truth never needs to be, never feel uncomfortable about talking about the truth, but people are uncomfortable with the truth. The Commonwealth just didn't build a lie. They built a friggin' haunted house out of half-truths and missing evidence. Then charged admission to the jury, right? And when the lights came on, nobody noticed that all the ghosts were just made of paperwork. And that's what Riley did. He made everybody afraid. And then you talk about Cellmark, the state's chosen lab, the state's experts, the state's evidence. They tested biological material from Janet. And what did they say? Eddie O'Brien is excluded. But where was that paperwork when trial came around? Where was that paperwork when the trial came around? It said Eddie O'Brien is excluded, but where was it? It didn't say he might be excluded. You know, it didn't say that Eddie O'Brien might be excluded. It didn't say he maybe. Oh, we can't be sure. Not inconclusive, right? Excluded. Do we need to look up the word excluded for the dumb ones in the back? I know I gotta stop calling people dumb and stupid and stuff. I got a bad habit, but I mean, it is what it is, right? but excluded. The DNA does not belong to him. Excluded. How do you sell a story, right? Think about this. How do you sell a story about a close contact, a frenzied stabbing, blood everywhere, chaos everywhere, and the person you say didn't isn't in the DNA? Look up Johnny Cellini versus State of Rhode Island. Go over that evidence, because not that it's a similar story. I mean, it's a similar amount of injuries. And that's Johnny. Was you covered in blaze head to toe? You know, that was in like the early 80s. Moreno Park, it happened. You know, but back to what I'm saying, like, you sell a story about this close contact stabbing, blood everywhere, chaos everywhere, and the person you say did it isn't even in the DNA. Can we make that make sense? It's kind of like you come home and then who made a mess of the house? Oh, the friggin' dog did it. But you realize that the dog was outside all day. Absolutely, for the slow ones, way in the back. But instead of stopping the show, the state just dims the lights and told the jury, oh, don't worry about that part. The amateur test, you don't need to know about that. So mock excluded Eddie. Don't worry about that. That's wordplay. And the part, I mean, the part that I get worried, the part that changes everything. The part that changes everything. I mean, if you're listening right now, right, smash that like button. You know, share this episode and support what I do. You know, you want gift memberships. I'll tell you what, that, you know, look, it helps me pay for all these apps, you know, the StreamYard, the music, you know, that backs all these breakdowns. You know, if you can, I appreciate it. If you can't, don't worry about it. I'll cover the rest, you know, but I mean, this production, I mean, it costs money at the end of the day, but if you can, I appreciate it. If you could, that's cool. But together we can make sure that the evidence finally gets heard louder than the headlines. You know, but give me a minute. We'll be right back. We got some evidence to break down.
Every time the mic drops, truth walks in. Mikey in the booth, yeah. The story begins. From the streets of Rhode Island to the world online, we break down real cases, no script, no line. Families hurting, voices unheard. We bring the facts out raw, every single word. We dive deep into the trenches, shine a light on pain. No hiding from the truth, we're here to explain. Mic drops, truth rocks, raising up the stakes. Mikey's got the pulse, so the world embrace. Voices rising high, we're changing the game. Every line a lifeline, whisper shame. Stories of the broken, lifting them from dark. A platform for the lost, yeah, we're hitting our mark. No more silence in the shadows, only strength in the sound. Each mic drop a declaration, truth breaking ground. Echoes of
in the corridors of silence, where shadows tend to dwell, a boy named Eddie lay in wait, for he had stories yet to tell. 15 years, a child adrift, the system cold and stark. Di Riley held a gavel, a hammer, a spark. You're not a kid, he said, not under my command. A hardened heart won't save him, let the law take its stand. But in this world of darkness, where hope had started to fade, Eddie stood defiant through decisions oft mislaid. Innocence caught in the crossfire, in a cage where love should be, a puppet on the strings of fate, lost in what you'd see. Eddie, oh Eddie, maybe fate's cruel hand helped carve a better path for souls who can't withstand. A voice among the broken, a light to guide the way, from a boy in chains to a whisper of a brighter day. In those iron bars, a heart began to bloom. From a restless spirit rose the song of change midst gloom. Policies were shifted, the tide began to bend. A beacon for the lost, Eddie learned how to mend. Drawing lines of kindness in a world where hearts turn cold, with stories woven gently, Eddie's courage to unfold. Eddie, oh Eddie, a tale of light and dark, turning pain into purpose, igniting every spark. A voice among the broken, the change in every soul. Fate may have broken you, but you made the world whole. Maybe God knew your struggle, saw the heart beneath the mask, sent you on a mission, a hero in disguise. Amidst the chains of silence, you answer every task. Through the echo of your footsteps, light shall surely rise. In the echoes of the laughter, among stories left untold, Eddie's heart lived on. Through the grace of daring bold, he planted seeds of healing in a garden made of scars. A boy who should have faltered became the light of stars.
All right, thank you, thank you. We back. Wow, look at that. I ask and I shall receive. Shout out to Big Ed with the 9.99. Miss Lush is coming in, dropping the 10 gifted. You know, shout out to Miss Lush. Is always good for some gifted memberships, man. And big shout out to one of the top dog mods, you know, at Denise Noel 43, holding it down. You know, I appreciate all, I appreciate everything, man, everything you all do. You know, thank you very much. You also, you know, the book signing, I'll have that for you guys later. I think they have a date already. Possibly, you know what? We'll talk to Margot a little bit later, and we'll try to get Margot to come on the show. I think we might be able to do that. You know, there we go. Look at that. The flyers are being made right now with the details. Somerville on August 7th. You know, but absolutely share if you're free, Eddie. Something I've been wanting to. Where did I put it? Here it is. Something I've been wanting to talk about. You know, the night everything went left. You know, we're gonna go over today. Police officers report from the Somerville PD. There we go. I'm trying to hit the right buttons here now. But if you're just joining us, I appreciate it. Hit the like button. You know, today we're going to go over the report from the Somerville Police Department. You know, let me put this computer right here. I want to be able to catch everything. So I have this computer going over the Somerville case, and then I have this one that I could be in the chat. Make sure we don't miss anything. All right. You seem to have that one there. I don't think it's streaming. I think Facebook's giving us a problem today streaming this, but all right, we're going to go over this police report. Murder of Janet Downing, 71 Boston Street, reported by Officer Stephen Johnson, badge number 141. On the above date and time, I was assigned to uniform patrol duties in Mock Cruiser 183 when I was dispatched to 71 Boston Street for a report of an unknown trouble. Car 182, Officer Joseph Blair was also sent to this call. Before we arrived, the dispatcher informed us that further information received indicated that a man was bleeding at the 71 Boston Street address. And Officer Blair arrived on location, and then I arrived several seconds behind him. We were met outside of the residence by two men, later identified as Eddie O'Brien Sr. of 74 Boston Street and Barry Reckley of 73 Boston Street, who was directed us inside number 71. We entered through the front door, which is located on the right side of the house. The door was wide open when we entered. The two men led us directly into the dining room, which was located immediately to the right as we walked through the front door. Once inside, I observed the body of a white female lying on the floor next to the dining room table. The female was lying flat on her back with her feet outstretched by her side, and her head was turned towards her left side. The female was dressed in a pair of short pants and a half shirt of the type that would leave the stomach area uncovered. The right leg of her short pants had been pulled aside so that I could see her underpants, which were white. As we observed the body, it was obvious to both officers, Blair and myself, that the female had been stabbed repeatedly. Officer Blair, using his portable police radio, called for the detectives and the street supervisor. Officer Blair tried to determine if the female was still alive by checking her carotid pulse. She did not have any pulse at this time. The female appeared to have stab wounds all over her body. I observed and I did it did not observe stab wounds was on the victim's face. At that time, the first of 2 ambulances arrived and began to administer CPR to the victim. Then the paramedics arrived and also began to work, which I don't understand that really, but we'll talk about that. I don't understand the CPR part. It's obvious that the victim was not alive at this time. You're doing CPR, you're just contaminated. This is the beginning of the contamination of the crime scene. I mean, there was so many people in and out of this house. Officer Blair assisted the ambulance attendants. At this point, I began to speak to the 2 men had met us when we arrived. The woman identified themselves for me. Mr. O'Brien explained that the victim was Mrs. Janet Downing of that address. He also stated that the victim on the floor. Mr. O'Brien stated that he did not touch or move the body in any way. The other men, Mr. Reckley, stated that he came over because he had heard Downing screaming for help. That probably isn't right. The other man, Mr. Reckley, stated that he came over because he had heard Downing screaming for help. As I spoke to the 2 men in the living room of the home, very near I observed that the water was running in the bathroom sink. This was located at the end of the hallway near a set of stairs leading to the 2nd floor. Also, I observed a stain of what appeared to be blood on the carpeting leading up the stairs on the 3rd step. There was also a second blood stain. This was located on the wood trim surrounding the entrance to the dining room. It was approximately 3 feet from the floor. Car 207, Sergeant Firmino, who I'll point out, the mayor has said this guy was a problem. The Firmino guy. Stanford arrived and I filled them in what we had so far. Sergeant Stanford went outside and spoke to Ryan Downing after he had been outside for several minutes with Ryan. Sergeant Stanford sent me outside to stay with Downings while we went into the house. From this point, I was never inside the house again. After 10 or 15 minutes from our arrival at Boston Street, I monitored the radio call for an armed robbery and stabbing at the Midnight Variety Store in Union Square. At the time, the call did not make any connection for me to the incident we were dealing with. However, when Mr. Edward O'Brien told me that the victim of the armed robbery at the Midnight Variety Store was his son and that his son had a stab wound to his hand, I relayed that information to Sergeant Firmino. So, I mean, picture this, right? July 23rd, was it like 5 of 10? This guy's cruising around Somerville in his little police go-kart, minding his business, probably thinking about Dunkin' Donuts when a dispatch hits him with it, right? Unknown trouble at 71 Boston Street. Unknown trouble. I think that's what cops say. We don't know what the hell's going on. But go over there and check it out. It ain't good. That's probably what that means. So Officer Blair is sent because apparently this trouble needed 2 people who were both equally confused. That's what I get out of this. They were both confused. They show up, and as soon as they get to the front door, chaos greets them, man. 2 men. You got Eddie O'Brien Sr., you got Barry Reckley. They're outside waving him in like, yo, hurry up, this shit is bad. The front door is wide open. Like, bro, you better get inside. You know, that's never a good sign when the front door is open. I mean, that's like got to be Police 101 for crime scene energy. Big shout out to Miss Courtney for gifting 5 Can We Keep It Real podcast memberships. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Right, she was not alive. That was like, you're doing the CPR on her, and it's obvious to anybody that is seeing her. I think I seen someone, there was paste on her lips. Like you could tell that the blood like dissipated from her body. It's all about making their own timeline and lying to help Riley. But Janet Downing at this time is lying flat on her back on the floor, arms out. And look at the date on this is what, July 23rd, 95, 21:55 hours. So they say Janet's lying flat on her back, right, on the floor, arms out, head's turned, shorts are pulled aside, stab wounds everywhere except her face. Obviously, the whole face, if I'm being a profiler, I would think, well, you didn't want to, the face is something that, you looked at, or, you looked at her. If somebody knew her, or they knew her all her life, this son, you looked at this face all your life. So you didn't want to do anything to the face, right? So this isn't maybe she fell. This is straight up, someone went full horror movie on her. Someone went full Carrie, like crazy, blood head to toe. So now the officers realize, right? Wait a minute. Somebody stabbed this lady. This was a stabbing frenzy. So Johnson and Blair, both of them probably clueless, one more than the other. They look at her and immediately know she's been stabbed. Hey, that's great police work, guys. Why don't you go find the real killer now? She hadn't been stabbed once, not twice, not a struggle. I mean, we're talking about multiple wounds, chest, arms, neck, legs. This is the kind of scene that make cops call detectives before they even finish the sentence. So what does Blair do? He checks for a pulse. Nothing. No pulse at all. Paramedics show up and they try CPR, but it's clear this is not a rescue, it's a recovery. Why are you doing CPR? And I know paramedics are not allowed to make that call, but it's obvious to everyone in the room, but the two officers and the paramedics, that she's not coming back, that it's over. It's not like she's left in snow like John O'Keefe, because it's possible. I mean, this is summer, it's July weather. It's not the middle of winter. When John O'Keefe was left outside, there have been cases where people that were left in the snow, they were able to bring them back. But this is not that case. This is a recovery case. Recover the body, recover the evidence, don't contaminate the crime scene. But what did they do? They drip blood halfway down the damn street. Exactly. Two idiots. See, I love when Big Ed's in the chat because he can kind of walk us through a lot of things. He can walk us through all of this. But wow, listen, while the cop was talking to Big Ed, right? Oh my God, the water's running in the bathroom sink. My oh my, there's blood stain on the stairs. Good observation, officer. Blood stain on the wood trim near the dining room door. I mean, somebody was bleeding. That's my translation. This is what he said, like moving, trying to clean up, or panicking, or both. So obviously somebody was trying to clean up and get the hell out of there. This is the kind of details that should have been treated like gold in this investigation, right? But instead it was treated like a footnote. This is the shit, like, wow, we got all this evidence in there. Get in there. Stop. Don't let nobody go in that area. Shut the water off, all that shit. Good observation, Robert. Yes, you ever get cut and your heart rate is fast, you bleed a lot. Yep, just one cut, so 98 would have been messy. Oh, very, very messy. Shout out to all the real ones coming in. Patricia White, how you doing? Happy chat. Happy Saturday chat. Coming in late. I apologize. Had to take care of a hubby when he got home from work. That's awesome. Patricia had to take care of a hubby. Now she's on. Have some ice cream?
Yeah. One thing at a time. For yours.
My wife just said she feels like a waitress right now. She got 3 orders. There's only 2 of us in the house. Where's the 3rd order coming from? But yeah, these 2 cops are dumber than a bag of rocks. I mean, you know she's bleeding, right? Someone's panicking, moving around. I mean, you treated this like a footnote. So now you got witness statements rolling in. Now you got the footnotes. I mean, yeah, the footnotes. Like you order one thing from Timo and the notifications don't stop. But the witness statement, so this is what O'Brien Sr. says for what they say, right? He says Janet was the victim. Ryan Down and her son came running, screaming for help. There was chaos. This is the everybody panicking, no one knows what happened moment. But then, from what the officer Stephen Johnson said, oh, now it changes. Now, while Johnson's outside with Ryan Downing, he heard a radio call. He hears a radio call. Armed robbery and a stabbing at Midnight Variety. So at first, he doesn't connect it. But then he says O'Brien Sr. tells him the victim of that robbery was his son. His son has a stab wound on his hand, and then suddenly Johnson thinks that there's a connection. And, and I'm sure this was all to help Riley out with his narrative. So this is the moment the investigation kind of should have slowed down and zoomed out and asked, who exactly was bleeding? Where did the blood trail start and where did it end? And whose DNA is where? But instead, they didn't do that. The train kept speeding forward. So what this document really says is the cops are saying we walked into a nightmare. Janet was clearly stabbed multiple times, right? There's blood in multiple places. Somebody was bleeding and moving around the house. The bathroom sink was running, and someone tried to wash up. There was another stabbing nearby involving someone connected to the people at the scene. So right away, they're saying this was a chaotic place, and neither one of these officers had any idea what they were doing. First Snapchat, it tells you it's a raw, messy, full of details that should have been investigated with surgical precision at this point. Instead, the state treated it like background noise. I mean, come on, tell me you can't make this out to be a movie. The front door's wide open. Body on a dining room floor. It's like a season finale. blood stains like someone tried finger paint. The bathroom sink's running like is trying to confess. You know, the two guys outside telling the cop, yo, you got to get in there. You got to go see this. The cops are looking at each other like they don't know what's going on. You know, but they should have investigated this a lot more. You know, the police should have investigated this a little bit more. Maybe they should have kept people out of the crime scene, maybe. I mean, just maybe you'd think people keep people out of the crime scene. You know, so this police report was basically the first official document from that night. I mean, it reads like a Yelp review written by a traumatized cop, tell you the truth, not a seasoned cop. Basically says, we don't know what happened, but it ain't good. Like, that's what the Somerville police were saying. You know, they pull up. There's a couple guys outside waving them in. Well, what do y'all think about this police report? You can also go read this at thetruthabouteddieobrien.com. You know, but give me a minute to reset real quick, and I'll be right back.
Where the whispers play, the door of the frame holds the secrets of the day. Locked on to Eddie, they whispered his name. Caught in a tempest, a life gone insane. Down in the dark, where the cellar path runs, a set of keys hit the dirt under disappearing suns. A house key, a car key, lost in the rush. But the state swept it up like a hand in the crush. Eddie's freedom cry, can you hear it loud? Breaking through the darkness, piercing the shroud. 30 years in chains, but the truth won't die. Unseal the past, let Eddie rise high. Unseal the notes, expose all the blocks. Rayleigh trapped Eddie in a manufactured box. 30 years of hidden facts buried in the track. It is time to give Eddie O'Brien his freedom back. Unseal the box, break down the lock. Let the truth ring louder than the courthouse clock. 3 decades of silence, a cold prison shell. Refuse to lie, they cast a wicked spell.
No remorse in their eyes, they judge from the booth. But Eddie stands tall, anchored in truth. Summer is opening, the science is real. The manufactured box begins to peel. Voices collide as hope takes its stand. With every heartbeat, it echoes a drowning band. Eddie's freedom cry, can you hear it loud? Breaking through the darkness, piercing the shroud. 30 years in chains, but the truth won't die. Unseal the past, let Eddie rise The drums roll thunder through the halls of despair. With strings and brass, they unite in the air. A symphony of chaos reflects in the night. The fight for Eddie grows bigger, takes flight. Beneath boundless skies, the walls start to shake. Each note of resistance, a wave in the wake. A revolution of honesty will cut through the lies. As the world turns its gaze, a new dawn will rise. So gather the voices who waited too long. For Eddie O'Brien, we'll sing out strong. His freedom's a fire, lighting up the gloom. As the massive, triumphant chord brings truth to the room.
All right, man. We back. Yeah, I noticed in the chat. I think Big Ed said that they didn't even go upstairs for at least 20 minutes, and I think I heard Wayne Riley testify that they only go where there's a crime scene at. So if there's no blood leading upstairs, then they're not going to go upstairs. I'll have to find that, and we'll go over that as well. But yeah, I believe that was his story. That we didn't go upstairs, and I was thinking, somebody could have been upstairs, but they searched the house. But then someone took a shower, the same one that was fresh and clean on a hot summer day when everybody was so sweaty. Yes, they did. They came forward, but Eddie at this point, and you could go back and watch Ed O'Brien and his wife Trisha when they did the interview with me. Trisha said that the investigator found the two guys. They brought the pictures to Eddie, and Eddie didn't want to falsely identify anybody. And that's what happened with the jumpers. So yes, I believe that story has been proved that it did happen. But Eddie Jr. was the one Eddie Jr. was the one that did not want to falsely identify anybody. And I think Mr. and Mrs. O'Brien can clear that up. But next, I wanted to go over the cross-examination of Anthony, Stamatoris? I mean, this was like the plot of a movie that maybe was only half watched. You know, the fence, the face, the fumbling of witnesses. Let me see, where was it? One second, I'll bring it up for you. Give me a minute. When I come back, we'll definitely talk about the 7 unsolved crimes. And I got to fix my microphone. I'll be right back. I'm back. We back. You back. I don't know. Someone's back, right? But don't forget, man, get ready to support Margot Nash. The new book is coming out. Definitely gotta pump up that book. Gotta go grab copies of that book. We're gonna have 10 extra chapters, man. I think people are gonna hit the roof when they read that. They're gonna hit the roof. Yeah, I wanted to talk about and I'll tell you what, man, I don't think we would probably know about these 7 other crimes that happened under Riley if Margot Nash didn't put the work into the book, and put the first book out. But while the state was busy turning Eddie O'Brien at the time into, a friggin' poster child for the juvenile justice system and juvenile crime, Tom Riley had 2 high profile unsolved crimes. Two high profile unsolved sitting on his desk collecting dust. And the most famous name you will hear is Deanna Cremens, 17 years old, strangled, left in an alleyway. And that is still unsolved. I mean, how many murderers did Tom Riley leave walking around between Cambridge and Somerville? In the Middlesex County District. I'm not sure all the different towns out there because I'm not from Massachusetts. But I'm sure there are quite a few. You got Miss Mary Jo Krug, 49 years old. That's young. I used to think that was old, but no, that's young. I don't think 49 is old anymore. Attorney, oh yeah, soon. I gotta be in the vibe for that. I know my wife came out and said, "Why don't you go get the jacket? Put the jacket on." But if you look at the Mary Jo Krug case, she was also stabbed while walking near her home, April 4th of 91. Both of them crimes unsolved, both under the little evil man. I think we're gonna make a T-shirt, right? The little evil man, and we'll put a little cartoon of Riley, looking like the guy that they said John O'Keefe was. Neville Cracker. Does Mister Neville Cracker look like Tom Riley? But you know what? Here's where it gets messy, right? Because when you zoom out and you look at the whole map of the county, and I got a lot of this information from Margot Nash, from her book and stuff, but when you zoom out, Middlesex County during Riley's time, the pattern just gets bigger, the pattern gets louder. I can only wear a clip-on tie. I grew up in a city. We don't know how to put ties on in a city. Shit, I never even held a fishing pole. We don't fish in the city either. You know what we doing in the city? We get mince fish. It's called fish sticks. We go fishing for mince fish. We go to Almax and we get some fish sticks. We don't put ties on in the city. When my father died, I didn't wear a tie. I think I wore a pair of Nike ears. A nice Christian Dior suit. Yeah. But yeah, true monsters. But when you zoom out and look at this whole picture with Riley, right? 7 unsolved crimes. 7. And I think when Margot did the research on this city by city, because Mass doesn't track, I guess, homicides stats by county. And what Margot found out, that 7 unsolved murders under Tom Riley's watch. Yuri Woods, rest in peace, say their names, man. Because these people never got justice. Their families never got justice. And this ties into Eddie O'Brien. Right? Yuri Woods, right? Stabbed in Cambridge. Right? March 5th of 91. You know what? Not even 30 days later, Mary Jo Frug was stabbed in Cambridge. Not even 30 days later. Right? And then right around the end of December, 1991, Esther Olson, she was strangled in Cambridge. Wow. All of this going on in Cambridge. Shout out to my guy Jojo out there. I wanted to bring Jojo on today, but I think tomorrow would be so much better. Shout out to Jojo, always a great guest of the show, always. Shout out to it's always a pleasure whenever Jojo's in the chat or whenever he comes on the show. I mean, good man right there. Good man. And I know he hates when I say that. He says, no, Eddie's a good man. And not me. They shouldn't love me. They should love Eddie. Don't love me. I didn't do nothing. Love Eddie. But they love you, bro. They love you. Shout out to JoJo. Oh, I seen the pot recipe. I didn't see the roast. I seen Mr. O'Brien, and you shared Ms. OB's pot recipe, but then I had to look back. Yeah, I heard they have a great roast beef. So, but there's 7, and we got one in March. We got one April 4th. And then Esther, 49 years old, strangled. And then a couple years later, you got Michael Gardner, 23, robbed and shot in Cambridge. What's going on in Cambridge? And then on March 31st, 1994, Eddie Semino, beaten to death behind Casper's. And then a year later, Deanna Kremlin, 17, strangled in Somerville. And then August 9th of 1995, Lila Fagundes, 42 years old, she was shot in her Cambridge market. All of these crimes unsolved, all under that little evil man. Of Riley. Yeah, I get. Yeah, I see the ties. Yeah, because we just want to put it on and tighten it up. Once I have a tie made, I never ask people to change it, but we'll get back into the ties later. Yeah, I'll tell you what, Cambridge is something else, man. And here's the kicker, right? Most people have never even heard of any of these people, man. Not a billboard. We used to get a billboard for Deanna. Not a press conference, right? Not a personal promise. Oh, Riley gave Janet a personal promise, but a lot of these other people wasn't worth a personal promise, right? Let's talk about what did get the spotlight. Because while these 7 crimes sat in the dock, Riley personally grabbed the Eddie O'Brien case like it was his audition tape for higher office. Oh, who knew? It was his audition tape for higher office. Because I think in the Deanna Kremens case, he took a personal issue until he realized he couldn't prosecute a child. He didn't personally prosecute Yuri Woods' case. He didn't prosecute Michael Gardner's case, Eddie Semino's case, Esther's case, Mary Jo Frug's case, Lila Fagundes. He didn't personally prosecute any of them murders. Even the ones that got convicted, I think there was like 10 of them. He didn't personally prosecute them either or give that family a personal promise. But Eddie O'Brien, a 15-year-old kid, he jumped on that case like it was the last lifeboat on the Titanic. Women and children only. He said, yeah, F that. I'm out of here. He jumped on that case like it was a lifeboat. Why? Because Eddie's case was useful. He could use Eddie. He could jump on that boy's back and ride him up to political office. It wasn't about justice with Riley. That's what I figured out. And I'm not even from Massachusetts. It was about juvenile law reform. It was about a super predator panic. Tough on crime resumes. That's what it was about. He wanted to be the tough on crime on kids. Oh, good. You can bully a kid. But Riley's personal promise, right? It wasn't about compassion. It was about ambition. How about the cases that he didn't touch? How about the people like Derek Chase? And we talked about these people before, but I think we need to come back to a lot of these situations, right? Tyrone Phoenix, Rosalie Whalen. How about Claire Downing, another Downing person? Trang Bo Ho, Lawrence Cooper, right? Helena Gardner. How about Benny Rosa? Did any of these other people ever get Riley's personal promise? Did he ever get his personal promise? Why didn't their families get the district attorney spotlight? But the old Downing family got the district attorney spotlight? And why didn't their case get the full weight of the state? I mean, they were deserving, right? All them other people were deserving of the full weight of the state. I know it's uncomfortable, but domestic violence wasn't useful. But juvenile homicide was. And that's why Riley had an interest in this. Because he wasn't trying to change domestic violence laws. He didn't give a crap about domestic violence. He came from that era where they was okay with domestic violence. He was trying to change juvenile laws because he wanted to be a trailblazer. He wanted to be big, bad, super predator era. You know, and Eddie O'Brien was the vehicle. Eddie O'Brien was the way he did it. And get this. I know a lot of y'all remember the nanny, huh? The Woodward case. That was like when Court TV started really getting big, the Woodward case. I remember watching that, the British lady. She was convicted of like second degree, right? But the judge ended up dropping it down to, I think, manslaughter and released her. And people were like, yo, everybody's seen that. It's all right, Big Ed. Check you out later, man. Take care of yourself. But the judge reduced it to manslaughter and released her. Why? And maybe the judges were getting tired of what was going on. Because he accused Riley's office of overreaching and overcharging defendants. Not defendants. Oh, your boy does his research. Trust me. He wanted to put an end to it. You know what I mean? And that's not me saying it, right? That's straight from that Riley factor. You know, straight from a Boston magazine. Right? And this wasn't justice, right? This was your Brandon. But everyone lost when Riley chose Eddie's case as his cause, except for Riley. He won his election for Attorney General. But the Downing family, they lost being able to see clear. They can't see straight. They lost all clarity. They lost closure. And the O'Brien family, oh, they lost Eddie for 31 years. And Mass, the whole state, the whole state lost the truth. Everybody in them upper offices has to live with that guilt of Eddie O'Brien. But when I come back, I'm going to leave you with my final thought about this. You know, I think all of these cases, all the cases that I've talked about, they deserve so much. They deserve so much more. I mean, let me tell you something about selective empathy, about being, whatever the word is, right? Listen, it's loud when it wants to be, right? And it falls silent when it's convenient. Because I think that Tom Riley, right, as the Middlesex County DA, now screw that, I got to get this out, right? They were murderers, brutal, heartbreaking murderers that never got a podium, never got a press conference, never got a personal promise. And unless you lived in, I guess, Somerville or Cambridge, it seems, you probably never even heard of their names. Deanna Cremens, that's the only name that I could remember being talked about because it was so public. You do the research, you see her family had a billboard on 93 begging and begging and begging for answers, that poor family. A billboard. Imagine grieving your child and having to rent highway real estate just to get the district attorney's attention. What a shame, right? You got to rent this big, massive billboard so all these people see it just to get the DA's attention. But now you got Tom Riley out here, right, bragging and boasting about having sympathy for victims. Empathy. So damn selective, this guy. And here's the part, right, that hits the hottest, right? Does he ever mention the other victims? Because there's other families here. It's not just one family. It's not just two families. Not once, not even publicly. Not with the same energy he poured into the Eddie O'Brien case. Look, the unsolved, their names are streaming at the bottom because their families never got any closure. They never got any mention publicly. Their families never got personal promises from Tom Riley. What a scumbag. Now with the same energy he poured onto Eddie O'Brien, a case with no evidence. How about the 10 convictions, the 16 murders, the 0 personal involvement, 0. And during the same time, right, I know I'm probably talking your ear off, but during the same time, Cambridge had 16 red rooms. 16. Imagine that. In Riley's office, they got 10 convictions. Thank God for them assistant DAs, right? Thank God for them. Oh, we always love when our friend Freebird comes around in the chat. Great help, man. Freebird helped me break down the notes that we're going to do really soon. I've been wanting to do that episode. You know, shout out to Freebird, man. Hi, y'all. I'm just getting here. I am 1,000,000% free Eddie because the evidence shows Eddie did not do this and Eddie was framed, period. Thank you, Mikey, for sharing the truth of Eddie's case. You are more than appreciated. Free Eddie today. Absolutely, man. Shout out to Freebird. You know, we got Freebirds on our side. You know, good people right there. You know, shout out to Freebird. But yeah, so all these convictions, right? 0 personal involvement. Sounds decent, right? Until you realize Riley didn't personally prosecute a single one. He didn't prosecute Yuri Woods. He didn't prosecute Mary Jo Frug. He didn't prosecute Esther Olofsson, if I said that right. He didn't prosecute Michael Gardner, Eddie Semino, Lila Fagundes, not even Raiji Ralstein, the MIT student stabbed on Memorial Drive. He didn't even prosecute that one. Are you serious? But let's be real. Most people don't remember the crime. Most people don't remember the victim. But they remember that MIT stabbing, but they don't remember his name. Raiji, I think it was. Or Nige, Y-N. I think it was Nige Ralstein. They remember that stabbing at MIT. But let's be real. Like I said, most people, yeah, they remember the crime. They remember what happened at MIT. But they don't remember Nige's name. They don't remember what nationality Nige was, whether he was white, black, Puerto Rican, purple, Spanish, yellow, whatever. They don't remember his age. How old was Nige? How did he die? Because you know why? Because that little evil man, Tom Riley, he didn't shine a spotlight on Nige. And he didn't shine a spotlight on Yuri Woods and Mary Jo and Esther and Michael and Eddie Semino and Lila Fagundes. Not even Nige was worthy of a spotlight from a little evil man like Tom Riley. How do you live with yourself? How does your goddaughter look up at you like she's proud of you? Because you know what? Riley didn't shine a spotlight there He didn't make those cases famous. He didn't step in personally. And he didn't even build a political brand off their tragedies. But Eddie, oh yeah, we're going to ride Eddie. But everyone knows Eddie O'Brien. Everybody knows Eddie O'Brien. Everybody knows his case changed the juvenile law in Massachusetts. And that's what this was about. Everybody knows it became the blueprint for trying 14-year-olds as adults. Everybody knows juveniles could now be sentenced to life without parole. Listen to yourself. Listen to that. And those of us that have nephews, that have nieces, that have stepkids, that have kids, and they're teenagers. Imagine that. Look at your 15-year-old son right now, or your 15-year-old daughter, or if they're in the swimming pool, look at the kids in the swimming pool right now around that age, and look at them and think about if Riley had his way, he has no problem putting them poor kids in prison, in places that were meant to break down the Charlie Chases of the world, to break down the meanest, the ugliest criminals. And they had no problem throwing them poor little kids in there. I think I read 60, like 50 or 60 kids under that time with big sentences. And why? Because Tom Riley made sure of it. He didn't just prosecute the case. He personally sat in on it. He turned it into a political game. This was his golden ticket. And then there's that Boston, that article about Tom Riley. I forgot the guy. I know his name is Michael. I don't know the rest, right? He wrote that article. And he said that Riley's involvement looks like grandstanding. Imagine that, a political ladder disguised as justice. And what did Riley do, right? He goes off, he tells reporters that he felt the responsibility for Janet. What about the other people, bro? What about Yuri Woods? Did she not fight hard enough? Riley, are you listening? How about Mary Jo? Did Mary Jo not fight hard enough? Did she not win her battle? I'm just curious. How about Esther? Did she not fight hard enough to live? Deanna Cremens, maybe she didn't fight hard enough either, so she didn't deserve your attention. Respectfully, I say that in the most respectful way to the families. What does it say about a guy like Tom Riley, right? Seriously, what does it say about a guy like Tom Riley who picks and chooses which victims deserve his personal attention and which ones get his silence? Like, what is that worth? Like, how do you sleep at night? What victims deserve your attention when you was a district attorney? And this is the man that says, and to that lady over there, this is the man that you call your godfather, that picks and chooses what victims deserved his attention. You know? And which ones got your silence, Riley, huh? What was it worth to you? What was the price? What was that? What was it worth? Because here's the MFing truth. Riley didn't personally try any of those MFing cases. You know why? Because they weren't politically useful to him. Domestic violence. What did he care about a man beating the crap? What did he care about Paul Downing Sr. bouncing Janet's head off every wall in our house and teaching his son to be the same predator? That had no political shine. What did he care about a man coming home and beating his wife? You know, that had no headlines. There was no super predator, attach on ride, no free ride ticket with that. domestic violence. Oh, what am I going to do with that? Riley would say. But Eddie O'Brien, oh, this kid. Oh, yeah, no, we got to reverse profile him. Reverse profile that one. 15 years old, accused of a brutal crime. That was a perfect storm for a district attorney trying to change the laws and build a tough on crime brand. So really, in closing, what I will say, that less than a month after Eddie's verdict, the Woodward case ended up blowing up. And the judge, I believe, publicly accused Riley's office of overcharging and overreaching. And that's when they probably said, this is enough. So he ends up reducing the verdict to manslaughter and released her instead of watching another kid get a life in prison sentence. Because this judge saw what so many others was seeing back then. The DA office used their full weight of the state like a political weapon. When they got the juvenile judge off the case, and if Eddie O'Brien, right, had got a judge willing to see the truth, but it didn't matter because he had a judge that was willing to see the truth. He had a judge, and they got that judge off the case, and Margot Nash said it best. I couldn't save Eddie. The judge couldn't save Eddie. The law couldn't save Eddie. And if Riley hadn't made a personal promise to one family while ignoring so many others, maybe we would have learned who really killed Janet Downing. And maybe the Downing family right now wouldn't be living in uncertainty, because you know they are. The O'Brien family wouldn't have lost 31 years. And Mass wouldn't have paid the price for one man's political ambition. But people, man, I appreciate you all. Thank you from my family to yours. I hope you have a blessed weekend, you know. But everybody lost here except for Tom Riley, man. You know, but we'll be back tomorrow, and I think we're going to have Joseph on, you know, and we might have, I got to see, we might have another special guest coming on. So we'll see. There's still a murder walking around, whether he's in the chats, wherever he is, no matter where they are. You know, this can't go on. We got to put more, you know, we can't let people be in prison innocent for 30, 40 years before figuring out that they're actually innocent. All right. Thank you. Peace. We love you all. And thank you to everybody that supported us. You know, appreciate to Freebird for the $50. So generous Freebird is, you know. Thank you to Courtney gifted 5 memberships. You know, big shout out to our big mod Denise Noel for a $49.99. Margot's book signing coming up soon. You know, and big shout out to the 10 gifted from Miss Luscious. Appreciate that. And Eddie O'Brien kicking it off with the $9.99. I appreciate you all, so we can keep putting out this great content. You know, but we'll talk to you all soon. And we out of here.
Not promote or promotion any illegal activities. All content provided by this channel is meant only for educational purpose only.
In 95, when the law turned cold, a tale of the super predator, truth untold. The DA's game, playing with fate, manipulated minds, sealing Eddie's slate. Oh, Eddie, hold on tight. We're dancing for the truth tonight. Break the chains, let the world see. Your voice is strong, it's time to be free. Justice for Eddie, justice for all. We'll rise together, we'll never fall. Exculpatory truths left on the shelf. Margot Nash folk revealing the stealth. Turning pages, the story unfolds. The politics of murder, a truth bold, and in every corner, the whispers of doubt. A system that's rigged, can't we just shout? Behind those bars, he's waited too long. An innocent heart, where does he belong? Oh, Eddie, hold on tight. We're dancing for the truth tonight. Break the chains, let the world see. Your voice is strong, it's time to be free. Justice for Eddie, justice for all. We'll rise together, we'll never fall. Reevaluate, we're raising the stakes. Time to uncover the truth for justice's sake. No more suppression, let the voices ring. Together we rise, it's a hell of a thing. We'll sign the petition, take back the night. Fighting for Eddie, we'll win this fight. Oh, Eddie, hold on tight. We're dancing for the truth.
Brian, they said with conviction, but the truth came out like a hidden addiction. DNA tested, but what did it show? Excluded my man in that courtroom flow. Not a maybe, not a doubt, they sealed the fate. How you sell that story when the evidence won't wait? Stabbings and chaos, the narrative spins, but the DNA's whispering, where do we begin? You're trying to pin the blame, but you're missing the mark. Eddie's outside, lit up, nothing but dark. Can't blame the dog when it wasn't even home. This ain't a fair fight, Eddie's been alone. Janet Downing's world, blood on the slate, but the night's truth waiting can't seal Eddie's fate. How do you even tell when facts slip away? We dance round the lies like the night turns to day. Lights dim down, jury on pause in the courtroom theater. I'm just a part of the cause. You're trying to pin the blame, but you're missing the mark. Eddie's outside, lit up, nothing but dark. Can't blame the dog when it wasn't even home. This ain't a fair fight, Eddie's been alone. Oh, chaos in the streets, but the truth won't die. You can try to twist the knife, but look me in the eye. Exclusions in the lab, but you still wanna shout. Did it run through your veins? What's this all about? You're trying to pin the blame, but you're missing the mark. Eddie's outside, lit up, nothing but dark. Oh, can't blame the dog when it wasn't even home. This ain't a fair fight, Eddie's been alone.
Every time the mic drops, truth walks in. Mikey in the booth, yeah, the story begins. From the streets of Rhode Island to the world online, we break down real cases, no script, no line. Families hurt and voices unheard. We bring the facts out raw, every single word. We dive deep into the trenches, shine a light on pain. No hiding from the truth, we're here to explain. Mic drops, truth rocks, raising up the stakes. Mikey's got the pulse of the world in breaks. Voices rising high, we're changing the game. Every line a lifeline whispered in shame. Every line a lifeline whispered in shame. Hey, yo. They said Janet came home normal. I said, stop the cap, cause the neighbor saw the whole scene. Her behavior wasn't regular. That timeline, nothing about it clean. People don't pull in, sit 5 minutes, pull back out, park again. Stand outside like they fighting thoughts deep within. Unless something heavy got under their skin. Oh, Commonwealth wanna pretend she was calm. Man, miss me with that. Michelle watched her whole routine glitch, like a mind buffering, trying to process a fact. She only brought in 2 bags, but the trunk was full. If everything normal, why she moving like she stuck in a lull? Why leave the rest in the car? Why freeze up mid-task? Why step back out and smoke like she needed time to unmask? That ain't I just got home. There's something weighing on me. As my spirit ain't settled, that somebody or something been playing on me. She smoked the whole cigarette, not a drag, not a taste. The whole thing like she trying to calm a storm she ain't ready to face. But y'all wanna force Eddie into danger mode? Nah, the vibe ain't matching. She wasn't rushing inside, she wasn't scared of who y'all claim was attacking. She was outside at least 10 minutes, visibly upset, acting strange, moving different. And the prosecution tried to rearrange, like none of that mattered. But this opens the door to other interactions, other stressors, other people, other explanations. And that's exactly why they ignored it. Cause once you admit she was upset, you gotta admit the story ain't set. And the whole prosecution narrative start looking like a bad URL vet. All performance, no threat. I said the truth hit harder than any bar I could craft. And this timeline right here, yeah, it's the part where the Commonwealth get laughed off the map.
Locked in a cage where the truth fades away, in shadows of doubt where they make you pay. You go to prison, fight your case, stand tall on the truth in this desolate place. I didn't do this to scream to the skies, but all they hear is the echo of lies. As the parole board asked for remorse, you see, how can you apologize for something not done? Chained in a cycle that leaves you undone. You want a confession for what I didn't do. It's a trapdoor, baby, a noose that's drawn for you. Turning truth into just a liability. Your integrity's a curse in this dark reality. Show responsibility, they demand without a care. But the justice is a game that's rigged somewhere. 20 years in, and the clock just spins, still saying, I didn't do that. Hey Mikey, do you see what I see? Flickers of light in the darks, can you hear me? It's a story we never knew. Shadows dance in the neon glow, tales of fear on the evening show. They needed a monster for the 5 o'clock news, a 15-year-old boy they could easily use. They threw his clean clothes in a bloodstained car and locked up a peacemaker behind iron bars. They call him a predator to hide their own lies, but we see the truth when we look in his eyes. A loyal young soul, so gentle and polite. We're standing together to finish this fight. Unchain the gentle giant, let a good soul breathe. Free Eddie the Teddy, it's time he's released. Break down the courtroom walls, let the truth ring clear. Bring ourselves this boy home in the 30-year tear. They hid all the palm prints, the DNA strands, put a lifetime of blame on a child's scarred hands. But the science is speaking, the silence is broke. We're tearing the fabric of the web that they spoke. He's grateful and compassionate, steady and true, an innocent man wearing prison cell blue.